See, Jake, what did I tell you? I got us some good seats just in time for the main event.
Yeah, I'm excited. I heard the Flying Grayson is the best trapeze act in the world. Hey, how did you get these tickets anyway?
I just traded some guy named Tony a jar of acid for him. I mean, since we started working at Ace Chemicals as a side hustle, we've dealt with so much of this shit, I doubt anyone will miss a jar of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting for your entertainment, the Flying Graysons!
You traded acid for circus tickets.
Yeah, Jake, who cares? Oh, hey, look! There, by the exit. That's good old Tony Zuko.
Wait, Zuko? Dude, he's a criminal.
Well, he seemed like a nice enough guy. He said he just needed it for a show.
Will you two shut up? The trapeze is starting.
You shut up.
Oh, God.
Uh-oh. I think I know what Tony wanted the acid for.
For the show, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna run now.
Good idea.
And welcome back to Super Sons, a DC Comics podcast where we explain the DCU a little bit at a time. Jake, how are you?
I've been better.
Yeah, you faced against your arch nemesis yesterday.
The dentist.
Yeah, and it did not go well for you.
No, it didn't. I now have a metal file stuck in one of my canals of my tooth.
Yikes, that's
my worst nightmare.
Horrible. All right, well, let's skip past that and get to the show. A couple updates from the DCU. Deceased, a Tom Taylor story.
About
looks like
zombies.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a zombie story.
Because that's what we need in 2019. More zombie stories.
The thing I think is the most funny about that is that most of Tom Taylor's DC stories are destroying the DCU, like Injustice and now this.
Yeah. I mean he
and
did
his Marvel
Earth
stories.
2.
He wrote Earth 2?
Yeah, he wrote the second half of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in Marvel he's known for empathy and good feelings, but, you know, DC. I watched the first 2 episodes of Doom Patrol. Real good. It is way better than any superhero television yet.
Even Black Lightning?
Yeah. It doesn't treat the whole superhero thing seriously, but it treats them being people really seriously. A lot of fourth wall breaking that is actually funny and not like in your face like Deadpool. Yeah, Matt Bomer's incredible. Brendan Fraser is like so fucking good. The whole first episode is just like a real tearjerker. And
You got anything else to tell us, Dan?
Yeah, I was on Battle of the Atom last week. The episode came out Monday. Go check that out. That's Battle of the Atom, an X-Men podcast where they rank 3 stories every week on their ever-expanding list.
So, Dan, explain, why are you a traitor to the cause? Why are you a traitor to the cause, Dan?
I said on that podcast, is like, all right, guys, now I got to go back over the fence to my house. Yeah. But today's episode is pretty special to you, Jake. Why is that?
Nightwing.
So do you want to give us a TLDR of Nightwing's story?
Okay, so I think everyone knows who Nightwing is. He's the original Robin who, in the 80s, decided he needed to get out of Batman's shadow and become his own man as a member of the Teen Titans. So he became Nightwing, which is sometimes it's just a name he made up. Sometimes it's related to Kryptonian lore as a showing that he respects Superman and other things.
So Nightwing has never had a movie. Has he had a live action? Like, has he been in live action at all?
Like, as Nightwing?
Yeah.
Other than in Batman Forever when he was like, call me Nightwing, and then he's like, nah. And Batman's like, nah.
Yeah, like Dick Grayson, Robin has been in tons of stuff.
Yeah, but that's a thing. But that's still Dick Grayson. That's who everyone thinks about when they think of Robin.
Yeah. But his importance as the DCU is pretty significant.
Hold on. There was something. He was supposed to get like a live action series, kind of like how Aquaman was supposed to, but it didn't really make it past the pilot.
Yeah, but then I got one of the top 20 grossing films of all time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're making a Nightwing movie, but I don't really care about movies all that much.
It keeps getting pushed back, but
just like Flash.
What's his significance in the actual DC universe?
So I mentioned this last time in the Superman episode that Superman is the second most trusted person in the DC universe, but Nightwing is the most trusted person in the DC universe, and that's coming from Hawkman, the straightest shooter that the DC universe has ever known.
Just a general note, fuck Hawkman, but continue.
Oh god, you're gonna get maced. But he's always been he's been leader of the Teen Titans, he's been Batman, he's been leader of the Justice League, he's been a super spy, which we'll cover later in the episode.
He's done a lot of stuff.
He's been a cop, he's been a museum curator, he's been a bunch of stuff like CrossFit instructor, trapeze instructor, stuff.
Yeah, but he's really like the kind of glue that holds everybody together. He's friends with everyone. Everyone loves him. He's charismatic. He's caring. He's kind. He's
according to Superman, he's the multiversal constant.
Yeah, he's everything that Batman could be, but he'd rather brood and sit by himself in the corner.
I think it's interesting that in every universe that he doesn't have Batman to help him after his parents die, he becomes something dark instead of the bright light that he's viewed as.
Yeah, so today we've got two stories. We have his first solo story, and we have a very different take on the character, where he is a James Bond super spy.
Yep. Who throws his gun.
So our first story is that Nightwing Ties That Bind, published in 1995.
Well, that is what the trade is called. Let's be out. We are missing we don't have the trade, which has another story in it.
But other than that, this is the first solo. And Jake, you want to take that one away?
Yeah, it is written by Dennis O'Neil, who does pretty good comics. Pretty good comics. Pencils by Greg Land, inks by Mike Sellers, colorist Kathy Bertrand, and letterer John Costanza. And the first issue, The Resignation, let's just say, welcome to the 90s Nightwing, where his rebellious phase is stored primarily in his Fabio haircut. And the series starts with Nightwing in his second uniform, stopping and kidnapping a very pretty lady. Why did I write that? He's stopping a kidnapping of a rich young lady. And Batman's just watching because that's his kink. Just watching the son save the day. Like the proud parent he is, I guess.
But Alfred actually told him that he was doing this, and he was like, I better not interfere. Dick wouldn't like.
Yeah,
so he watched him. He also corrected him, too. He's like, well, you could have handled that better.
Yeah, because...
He says he was grandstanding too much.
Which, I think we mentioned that in our Batman issue.
Mm-hmm. Where
he's an entertainer.
Two-Face literally figures out who he is because he's
smiling.
Not Batman.
He's putting on too much of a show. But the dynamic duo do a little rooftop chit-chat near the requisite brooding gargoyle, and Dick declares that he's retiring from the superhero game because he thinks it's why he's making him miserable, and he puts a lot of that blame on Batman. And then he gives Batman his old suit and he just says, just get rid of it, put it in a case, burn it, I don't care, and he leaves. And then Dick visits the girl he helped save in the hospital, and we're introduced to her as Miss Webster. We don't learn her first name for a couple issues. They flirt as her family watches because that's appropriate, just flirting with a girl you did not actually know outside of your costume after visiting her in the hospital.
He kind of gives away his identity when he just walks in there.
Yeah, but he banks on the fact that she has a concussion because she gets her face slammed in the wall by one of the goons. And because then
Nightwing.
He doesn't help her in time. But then he gets revenge in a real 90s style by smashing the guy's head into the wall. But then he goes back to his apartment where he has a little breakfast chit-chat with his true dad, Alfred. And Dick discovers that there's a threatening letter from a clown to his parents or to the circus. Something like that. I read this a few months ago. I was skimming it for this summary, so something's maybe a little wrong.
Somebody sent it to the Graysons a couple of days before they died.
Okay, yeah, that's what I assumed. And they did it in yellow ink because that's easy to see. But, yeah. So, and then it draws a connection to the nation of Kravia, which is run by the dictator known as Prince Kravik, who's actually a fake prince named Balsic. Blasik, my bad. Who pays an assassin named Good Old Bernie to kill our hero as Dick goes on a date with Miss Miggy Webster, whose
his legit name is Good Old Bernie. Like, they take a couple minutes to explain it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, how do you say your middle name? He's like, Olay. No, Good Old. I'm just like, what? Why did you decide to spend a whole page on that?
And they were like, yeah, no, he's like, oh yeah, there's an E in good. They just call him Bernie the rest of the time. And we find out, I was wrong, we find out that her name is Miggy Webster, and they spell it in two different ways on the same page, one with a Y and one with an IE. It's just, how do you do that?
I guess the editors didn't catch it.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I just think that's a little funny. But anyway, then it cuts to issue 2, the renewal, where Dick and Miggy are still on their date, but Dick is stopped by Bernie on the street, who says he'll just make all his cares go away and stuff. And Dick's like, whatever. After Miggy's like comes over and is like, hey Dick, what's up? Like they weren't already on a date or something. I don't. Oh my god, I'm just a little out of it. Sorry. So she just kind of walks back up as Bernie is trying to lure him into an alleyway, because that's not sketchy. But so Bernie's just gonna call the prince and talk to him a little for a second as Dick and Mickey go back to her house so he can drop her off. And she tries to get him to stay for dinner, but he just can't. So he just leaves. As he's getting back to his apartment, he gets attacked by Bernie. And Dick finds it's really hard to fight in his hip 90s attire. But Bernie's like, still, oh shit, I can't win this fight, so I gotta run. So he smashes through the window. Dick follows him, but turns out Bernie has a motorcycle, and that's not really a fair race, the feet versus a motorcycle. So it cuts back to the Prince of Kravnia as we learn that he's planning a mass extermination of his people. Then he tells his father, the Prime Minister von Kart, to shut up, and then tells the guards to put him in a hole. And then it cuts back to Dick in the Batcave, and he's like, all right, I need to go to Kravnia, but I can't do it in my normal clothes. So Best Boy Harold, the Bat Mechanic, comes out, gives Dick a new Nightwing suit, which is the black and blue one that we all know and love that has the finger stripes and everything. And so when Dick puts it on and we get a full page of it, Dick's like, way awesome. But
isn't Harold like everything though? He's the costume designer, he's the mechanic, they list off like 5 different things. Harold
that's why he's the best boy, Dan.
Yeah, he's the best. Basically, Harold lives in the Batcave, in like the secret little cave in the Batcave. And then he leaves after No Man's Land, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
He was in something recently. I want to say All-Star Batman. But
yeah,
Harold,
I was really excited to see that he was back because he's like one of O'Neill's characters that he puts in a lot of things.
He's like the Deus Machina for why Batman, no one finds out that he builds all this weird shit down in the cave. Yeah,
and he's actually just like a kid.
Yeah, he's a super lovable character. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to read the story that he debuts in Question. But yeah, so Dick says that the suit is way awesome, but he's also got a super tight ponytail now that's like 3 times longer than his Fabio haircut was. Like it like tripled in length.
His hair is something.
Yeah, but that's okay because once the ongoing series starts, it gets shot off.
Wait, literally shot off?
Yeah, it gets shot with a bullet. And his hair is just cut.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nightwing goes to Kravnia, and he gets a few things as he's arriving. A bunch of bullets and a phone call from a crying Miggy. And then the issue ends with him in a spotlight.
Like all the guards are about to open fire on him.
Yeah. So, issue 3, the Oubliette. Dick is confronted by the guards where we left off, and he has to fight them. And then he finds like a little house, and he asks them where Prince Balsic lives. Okay, I wrote that wrong in the first issue. My bad. And he finds a little house, which is run by the Kravnian chef, who then knocks Nightwing out and then brings him to the prince because he wants protection because he knows what's coming. An ethnic cleansing.
There's like a genocide going on like during this, like the whatever his name is sent out people to massacre the city.
Yeah, and that's part of why Balsic's father, von Kart, questioned him. That's why he sent him into the Oubliette, which turns out is a hole, like a trapdoor hole dungeon. But anyway, so Dick is also put into the trap hole dungeon, which is just going to feed in a bunch of rats that were going to be fed by eating Dick and Von Cart. So Von Cart explains who Ballstick is and why he's not actually the prince. So it turns out that the young Prince Kravik decades ago was born very scarred and disfigured, and he eventually dies. So the king decides, oh, I need an heir. So he turns to the prime minister, whose son, Balsic, looks just like Kravik, but Balsic doesn't have the facial scarring, which a little surgery fixes.
Doesn't the prime minister kill the kid? Because he's too violent. Like, he kills the leader and then he replaces him with his own son.
Something like that.
Basically, he straight up killed the old leader to replace him with his son because the original one was way too violent and way too radical. But, his son also becomes that.
Yeah. Yeah, and his son becomes a real racist. Like, you mentioned earlier that he has cards that says, if anyone's darker than this shade, kill them.
Yeah, it's like a real Nazi-esque leader, and it's like, oh shit, this guy's real bad.
Yeah. So Von Cart had to put his son in charge, and but it also...
Oh, I got it. You forgot. So when he kills the original leader's son, he dresses up as a clown at a carnival where the flying Graysons are.
Well, no, I was just about to get to that. That comes after all of that. But yeah, so as Dick's climbing out, he finds out that it was the official Von Cart who did that, who sent that letter as a clown and whatever. So there's really not much that happens in that issue other than that story. Okay, so issue 4, dead simple. Nightwing and the Prime Minister escape from the hole, and they go to the U.S., where the Prime Minister says that he's going to do all he can to take his country back and take his son out of the equation, to save all of those innocent people. And we'll get back to that. It doesn't really follow up right away. But Dick returns home from a call from Miggy, who had just been beaten by her drunk father. But before Dick can go, he has to fight Bernie one last time, and he just beats the living shit out of him. And as Dick is racing towards the Webster estate, Miggy explains everything to him. She set up the kidnapping to trigger something in her father, to be like, to scare him straight, saying, "Oh, my daughter's gone. And once I get her back, I'm going to be a better father." Which, as you can tell, didn't happen. But the men she hired decided, nah, we're going to really kidnap this rich girl. But as he arrives, he hears a gunshot, and as he goes in, he just sees Miggy with a gun standing over her dead father as her mother's crying on the sofa. And then it goes back to Dick going to see Von Cart in the hospital, and he says that he wasn't going to actually hurt the Graysons. He just wanted to scare them a bit. So that just continues to leave the question open, even though Tony Zuko has already been mentioned in the first issue. So, I mean, that's kind of all he has to go on still. So basically, the whole the adventure was just for nothing. But he also explains that Von Cart also explains that he's done all he can to stop his son. He's told the whole world what he was doing, the ethnic cleansing, everything, and he even ruined his own name, telling them that that his son wasn't actually the prince. And he did it all to save his people. Then we cut to Dick and Batman fighting crime, going around the rooftops, and Dick apologizes to Batman, saying he was wrong to blame him for putting him in the life after seeing Mickey's family. He thinks that Batman could have been a much worse parent to him. And pretty much the age of ultra angst is over for Nightwing. And so is the Fabio haircut. And as I mentioned, so soon will the ponytail, because that gets shot off.
Yeah, I think it was...
I'm sorry that was a mess.
Yeah, I think something that you left out, but it's cool because then we can talk about it, is that in the beginning, when Batman's watching him, he's just like not interfering because he knows that's not what Dick wants.
Yeah,
but in the end, it's like Batman's gone through kind of a change as well, where he starts asking Dick questions. Like he cares about how he feels and is showing that he actually cares about him, which is something that normally Batman doesn't do. And Dick comments on it. He's like, whoa, never heard that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I hadn't just thought I could go over this just by like skimming it, because like I mentioned, I already read this a few months ago when the app first launched. So
yeah,
there was a lot going on that I think I misremembered.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with Dick liking Miggy a lot because he sees that her family is like picture perfect at the start. Like the dad's always nice, he's hugging her, he's like saying nice things to Dick. It looks like they're a really good family, and Dick never had that. Mm-hmm. But throughout the story, you see him start to slowly realize like how much Batman really did give him, and how his love and care was shown in a horrible way, but like a very different way. And he gave him the tools to be successful instead of whatever he could have become. Like you said, in those other multiverses, he doesn't have Batman and he goes down a dark path. But I think Dick Grayson is as light as he is because Batman is as dark as he is.
Yeah, no, I think in it was in Young Justice that Wonder Woman questions why Batman indoctrinated Robin at the ripe age of 9 to fight Batman's war, and Wonder Woman insinuates that he wanted to make someone just like him, and Batman's like, I did it because I didn't want him to end up like me. Yeah,
Nightwing is everything that Batman could be. I had some other point about Batman.
Your talking point says Batman eyes panels in issue 1.
Yeah. So when Nightwing is fighting in the first issue, there's these panels like at the bottom of the fight, like every time Dick makes a mistake. And I was trying to figure out if it was Dick's face. I was like, that's not Dick though. That's too dark. And it's Batman's face, like kind of watching all the mistakes he's like making in this fight. And I thought that was really interesting.
Dick really gives them too much of a chance to pack up and go away. I think that's what leads to me getting a concussion. Like he gives them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and like he also is grandstanding and making a show, and he could have stopped her from getting a concussion, but he didn't because he was
too busy showing off.
Yeah, the art here is actually awesome. It reminds me of stuff I see today, like with some of that experimental, like showing like outside of panels and things like that.
There is one page in where he gets his new suit that I want to comment on, which is the Way Awesome page where it shows his costume.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I actually do really like the art, but there's one thing I noticed that I'm like, why is this a thing? If you look at the page, which is one of the coolest pages, Dick has claws on the blue fingers of his gloves.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it looks like the Superior Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think this is a good issue. Would I say this is like my favorite Dick Grayson story? Not in the slightest.
No, it's this was necessary to get him from that the age of angst. That's what I'm going to call it. Like he was very like, oh, Batman did this. My life sucks. Blah blah blah. Like the early 90s, but Nightwing was a little darker, as per most 90s things.
His fuck Batman stage.
Yeah, his fuck Batman stage. And this was really important to get him out of that. Like, that is the main point of the Miggy arc.
Yeah, I just like the Conqueror stuff, like all that. He just kind of goes there and leaves. Like, there was so much, I don't know. It felt like that should have been the B plot, and the Mickey stuff should have been the A plot. But
and I think they realized that O'Neill realized that, but too late. Because, I mean, there is a bit of a balance there between the two, but there really should have been one that outweighed the other. But the Kravnian stuff, it doesn't really land because, I mean, he doesn't even punch him. He doesn't even get to punch Balsic.
Yeah, and like even then, like even like the stuff about his family, the guy never would have hired someone to hurt the Graysons. Like there was no reason for
I like it. It really just like writes itself off, but it leaves that mystery open for him to solve.
Yeah, so let's go on to the other story. Grayson Volume 1 from 2014. The writers are Tim Seeley and Tom King. Pencils by Mike Janin. Inks by Mike Janin, Guillermo Ortega, and Juan Castro. Colorist Jeremy Cox. Letter Carlos M. Mangual. Tom King, Tim Seeley. Some of the biggest comic book writers today. Tom King is currently writing Batman, Heroes in Crisis. He wrote Mr. Miracle. He's a big shot. And then Tim Seeley is currently just wrapped up his Shatterstar run, which was incredible. And he's working on, I think it's called The Marvelous Something of X-Men. It's a weird drug sex cult book for Age of X-Men. But the series Grayson itself is not Nightwing per se. It is after a big event called Forever Evil, where the Justice League gets beat by a Justice League of another multiverse, and Dick Grayson technically dies, but then Lex Luthor brings him back to life, but they decide to keep it secret that he's alive because he got outed to the world, right?
Nightwing? Superwoman from Earth 3 unmasks him in front of the entire world, as she also has him strung up with her, like, I guess it's a lasso of pain. It's like barbed and shit.
Lasso of pain.
It's basically like barbed wire, but like gold.
Forever Evil, I'm going to go out on a limb and say not great, but this series that came
hold
from
on. That had some good moments for Captain Cold.
Oh yeah, that's around the time he was like a hero for a hot second.
Yeah, no, this actually led him into being a member of the Justice League, I think it leads
Justice League.
Yeah, it leads him and Luthor being members of the Justice League afterwards. Mm-hmm. Mainly because Luthor, through seeing who Dick Grayson was, pieced it together that Batman was Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Wait, Dan.
Time.
Dan, you didn't do the thing.
What thing?
The thing. Bruce Wayne is Batman?
Wait, what? Wait. Oh my god. I gotta reconsider everything. Okay, so issue 1. Grayson. Dick Grayson is dead to the world, and currently serving undercover at a secret organization called Spiral. This issue opens up with like one of the most James Bond elements of, I think, the first half of the series for me, where he's on the train fighting someone. He throws his gun and ricochets it like a weapon. But they're on the train for a target who has, and I shit you not, an enhanced stomach. So he gets on the train, and it turns out there's another agent trying to...
Wait, was it him that had the enhanced stomach, or was it the girl from the next issue?
He had a stomach, too, because they removed something from his like, lower chest.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of going on here.
It's a very James Bond-esque plot with, like, weird devices, and, but most of these 4 issues has to deal with super parts of your body. And this one gives him like the power to shoot out beams. So there's 2 other agents from another organization trying to take this guy. And Dick and Helena, his partner, take out the woman who's trying to stop him by pouring a cup of wine on her that had a nerve agent in it. But then Dick Grayson gets off the train, does some cool flips, but then he is stopped in a nuclear silo by the other operative that's after this guy. This operative is known as Midnighter from Stormwatch. Midnighter is
he's the only one who gets to see Dick Grayson do the cool thing with the gun boomerang. He's like, and Dick's just like, yeah. Oh man, the problem being a solo act is no one gets to see you do cool stuff. And Midnighter's like, man, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually saved that panel because God,
that's the one thing on my notes.
So Midnighter is from a series called, he was in The Authority and then he was in Stormwatch, right?
I think so. I don't know too much about that.
Okay, so it was from another universe called Wildstorm. DC bought them.
I know more about the Wildcats.
Yeah, and then they had a series in the early days of the New 52 called Stormwatch. I don't know if him and Apollo, so they're Superman and Batman analogies, and they're married.
I don't know if they're married. I don't think they're married in this.
I don't think they're married in the New 52.
But I also think
Apollo.
This is not the same Midnighter from the Stormwatch series. Well, they mentioned
Stormwatch.
They do.
They mentioned Stormwatch.
But I think it might have been in his own series that there was a different Apollo and Midnighter. It's
for this series. I'm not for like our purposes of reading Grayson. I'm going to leave out the little bits about Midnighter because I would like to do a Midnighter episode down the line because I love him.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
His power is basically seeing your next move and beating the shit out of you. And he's sassy. I fucking love him. He has
frenemy.
He has the single best line in this entire series when he says, "I know that ass anywhere."
I'm pretty sure.
Dick.
I'm pretty sure John Constantine says the exact same thing.
Yeah,
in the one of the annuals.
Sorry. Basically, there's a huge thing. Dick Grayson has the best butt in comic books. We'll move on. So we find out that Dick is actually still in communications with Batman, otherwise known as Bruce Wayne. And the organization that he is working for has sinister plans for the heroes. The issue ends with like a big board. Yeah, there's a big board with all the heroes on it. Issue 1, you see like their information on Batman and the Flash. The second issue, you see other heroes, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think the first issue is Batman and Cyborg. And then there's a bunch of characters that are unrecognizable.
There's some weird ones in there too, like Dove, but we'll continue.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. The head of the spy organization is called Mr. Minos, and he's actually a kind of funny character.
He's a swirly boy.
All of their faces swirl or spiral when they're on camera, so you can't recognize who they are.
Which is a part of the hypnos implants.
Yeah, I don't know what those do.
They mainly do that, but they also are like hypnotic.
So, issue 2, Gut Feelings. When one of Spiral's operatives returns from the field and is a hot mess, Dick and his partner Helena are sent to finish his mission. There's been a large disappearance of sheep in an area where they're sent to investigate. Is it the mask?
Hold on. We're super spies. You know what we gotta go investigate? Sheep.
Well, they find something much more sinister. The one they're looking for is a renowned scientist who's been a part of a bunch of think tanks and stuff like that, and has been working for a British secret intelligence organization known as They. We find out that she ate all those sheep, and she's also been eating people. So, she also has one of those super stomachs that gives her a super fast metabolism, which, in turn totally gives her super speed.
And she
We're just tracking the logic here.
And she has to eat people, eat as much as possible, or her metabolism will make her age uncontrollably.
Yeah, normal super spy stuff.
Yeah.
So they basically corner her in this underground base where they have all these cool looking super spy suits and cool shit like that. And when they're about to apprehend her and arrest her, Grayson's ready to arrest her. But then Helena is like, oh, we're going to give her a job. And Dick's like, wait, no. And Helena knocks him out and offers this lady a job. They remove the super stomach.
Well, she does something. She knocks him out in a very specific way.
What does she do?
She has a code word that is connected to his implant, and that code word is Tsuchigumo.
What does that mean?
If I'm correct, that is a giant land spider, which is a Japanese yokai. Tsuchigumo.
And I just opened up a weird rabbit hole.
I did. It is dirt/earth spider. For everyone who knows, I think I've mentioned that I study history and anthropology, so I'm very fascinated with things like this.
Yeah, so she does that, and they just hire this cannibal killer lady for just a regular job back home in Spiral.
Yeah, and I think
wild.
I think she becomes the therapist there.
Therapist. Too. Yeah, because Mr. Minnow says something along the lines of, "Oh, if you're feeling any trauma or anything, you can go see her. Just don't think about the murders."
Yeah, I love Minnows.
Yeah, I really like him.
Yeah.
So issue 3, and what I would say is the power issue, is called "The Gun Goes Off." Dick and Helena are given a mission to go after a criminal known as the Old Gun, who was blinded while trying to save his children from a school shooting. It's really rough, that whole subject.
Yeah.
But he went through a surgery to get his sight back. And here's the real bombshell. He can only see through 2 pistols. His eyes are the barrels of these pistols.
And that concept reminds me of the second Crimson Avenger, who has these magic guns, and she has to wear a blindfold. It's a thing.
Who is Crimson?
The original one is a Golden Age hero. You said you were planning on reading JSA, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah,
she appears in that.
We're trying to teach people about the DCU, not confuse them more with things that confuse me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh yeah, guys, there's this one character. I don't know. Eventually, we'll talk about Snowfire.
That's exactly where I was going. Good old Snowfire. All right, so you guys can look that one up. So this Mr. Minnow says something along the lines of, "People are so interesting."
Or is it Snowflame?
Talking about this guy's ability, but he stole some special eyes from somebody to try to give him his own sight back.
It's Snowflame.
But they are assigned to another duo of secret agents, Agent 1 and 8, and we get a scene of Agent 8 trying to get Dick to shoot his gun better instead of aiming away from the heart. You can see the bullet prints in the thing he's shooting. He's not aiming for anywhere vital.
Yeah, but his grouping is really good, so you can tell that he's not aiming at the heart on purpose.
Mm-hmm. But
she doesn't acknowledge it. She's just "Oh yeah, you're just you guys and your guns."
She talks about the superheroes. She's like, "You superheroes, you don't do anything." And she basically just goes on mocking him. And they hook up because secret agents. fast forward a little bit. The whole team, all 4 of these people, go and try to stop Old Guns, and everything goes to shit. He shoots the helicopter they're in, and it goes down. There's fire. Everyone's a hot mess. And Grayson has this chance to take him down, but he doesn't shoot him. And Agent 1 steps in. Agent 1 is he Bronze Tiger?
No, he is. His name is just Tiger. That's his name.
Just Tiger.
He's Tiger King of something. Was it Kondak? He's great. I love Tiger.
He's like a super big part of the series.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite foil for Dick as a character, because later in the series, Dick just insists on calling him Tony the Tiger, and Tiger's like, Dick Grayson, you're an idiot. Dick Grayson, I'm going to kill you.
So basically, back to this, everything goes to shit, and Tiger comes in and saves him because Dick won't stop him. They leave Old Guns and escape. So Dick puts in a call to Batman, and he's talking to him, and he starts getting information that both the children aren't dead, only one of them is. So Dick goes and tries to track down Old Gun by himself, and he finds him on a rooftop watching children. His weird gun stuff.
He's watching his son through his gun. Which entitles aiming a gun at his own son.
Yeah, that's all. You'll see what happens. But so basically, Dick's on this rooftop, and he's like, you don't have to do, like, we can help you. Why are you using guns? I'll talk about that at the end, but Dick shows him compassion. Dick doesn't want to kill him. Dick goes and tries to help him. And Dick, like, feels bad for him because he's had this shit to happen to him, and he knows he's not a bad guy. He's just under these circumstances where he needs help. And as he gets the eyes that they need, Agent 8 shoots him. Agent 8 had followed Dick to the site, and Old Gun shoots her and kills her. But they both die. The only problem is that Old Gun falls off the roof into where his child is playing with, like, his school friends, and his son finds his body because of the lack of compassion of these people. They don't care. They're doing this as missions, as jobs. They don't care about killing people. And that is exactly what Dick Grayson is not. Dick Grayson is caring, kind, and it hurts him. And they call him Agent 37, which is his
a lot of the title. Important that's an important part of this issue. Like, they keep on calling him the wrong thing, and he's just like, that's not my name.
Yeah, and at the end, it's really important.
It's really him fighting to maintain his identity as a hero.
In an organization that doesn't believe in it. And it's just him sitting on the roof. He's like, that's not my name. Because he just saw something super traumatic, and he's like, fuck, I could have stopped
and they're
that.
just like,
people weren't
do you have
trash.
eyes on Agent 8? Do you have eyes on Agent 8? And then it's just like...
So, bad stuff happens. But issue 4, The Raid. This one is kind of funny and shows more of Dick's
this is
playful
more of
side.
a fun issue.
Yeah. Dick and Helena are sent on a mission to retrieve a hard drive from another organization known as Checkmate. Checkmate is run... I don't know if it's run in this by Maxwell Lord. Is it?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of things... Like, Maxwell
Checkmate
Lord,
is an organization.
Yeah, it
is an organization run by Maxwell Lord.
It's based on chess pieces.
He's pretty interesting. He gets his neck snapped at one point by Wonder Woman, and he does some real shit. He
used to just be like the public relations liaison for the Justice League International.
He was PR, but he was a bad guy. Continuing. Dick has a lollipop in his mouth in this meeting with Mr. Minos, and Helena smacks it out of his mouth. But Dick was actually doing that so he could send the lollipop to Batman to analyze to see what's in this room. Another fun thing about Spiral is that it's hidden at St. Harden's Finishing School, which is an academy for recruits for Spiral. So it's all of these girls being trained in like crossbows and espionage and all this cool stuff. But a group of these girls decide to go on a manty raid, talking about how boys do panty raids. And like, why do they even do that? She goes, I don't know, so they can like scream hurrah and pat themselves on the back. But they want to go to Dick's room and raid it because they think he's a hunk, thick AF, if you will. But he gets a call from Batman and they're talking and he's like, yeah, I analyzed that lollipop and shit. I don't think we realized how fucked up Mr. Minos is. He has these little bug robots that eat everything that sheds from his body. So like skin cells, anything like that, these bugs devour. So it makes it almost impossible for people to find out his identity. Mm-hmm. And in the last issue, Mr. Minos believed there was a traitor amongst the ranks. And Helena has been looking into it, but they don't think it's Dick at this point. And then Dick hears the girls sneaking around outside, and he goes out to see what's happening. They're all in these actually really cool costumes.
Yeah, their costumes are reminiscent of the original Batwoman costume.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yellow,
the yellow and red. Because as you later find, well, I'll just leave that.
Yeah. So Dick decides to just give them a chase, and there's this beautiful page of them chasing him around the campus and like where they're at, like kind of like a
it shows, that page really shows movement really well, because this whole series shows movement really well, because it'll be like the main body is one like regular colors, but it'll be like a trace, like a solid like red or blue color for when a person's moving, and it just looks really cool.
Yeah, the art in the series is incredible. But it's a cool little page. It kind of looks like the Marauders map from Harry Potter, if you can imagine that. But then Helena stops him and she goes, "You're in trouble." And they give him a punishment where he has to be the French teacher for the school under secret identity.
He is posing as a French man who teaches gymnastics.
Oh, I thought he was the teacher.
No. He's just he's supposed to pretend he's French.
But then it kind of ends that this 4 series ends there. Grayson is maybe one of the best series.
Oh, it's so much. It's so much fun, but it balances the fun with just really good moments, like deep moments, a good plot.
I wrote down, I think most of my notes are about the old gun issue. When Agent 8 is teaching him how to shoot, she says, "Guns aren't magic. They just make things go a little faster." And when Dick goes to confront old Guns on the rooftop where he's talking to him as a person to a person, he says, "I get it. Guns make things go faster. But what's the damn rush?" I thought that exemplified who Dick Grayson is. And why Dick Grayson is such a good character and so loved by so many people.
Yeah. I have a lot of notes on this.
Let me just get my last one out because I need you. Who is the scary woman with the weird glasses? What's her name?
Dr. Naz or something.
So when they tell him he's going to be the gymnast teacher, she tells him that she's going to write dirty fan fiction about him, and that made me laugh out loud. I was like, ew.
Yeah. I'm looking up her. Oh, Dr. Frau Netz.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, what are your notes say?
Okay, so I have a lot of notes. Like, okay, we've talked about the art, but like, Hypnos is one of the coolest visual effects ever. Like the page layouts are so interesting. Like, yeah, sometimes you'll have like people will put it just vertical, but like things are like at a diagonal, and like that's super interesting. But see, I'm not gonna say much about that because you guys can go read it for yourselves and see what I'm talking about. And I've already mentioned the art enough.
Yeah, I left a lot out of these notes just because I am 100% going to suggest this to anyone. This is a great series. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of heart. Mm-hmm. And it's not super superhero-y.
Yeah, no, it's not. it's a very good character piece. But Bruce mentions that Dick's funeral was nice. And here's the thing. The pages for the funeral were actually drawn, but never printed in an actual comic. That kind of bugs me.
Wait,
because
really?
it's referenced later by other characters. But I wanted to talk about how much I already talked about how much I like Tiger. But I do like to think that the lollipop thing, because Dick picks it up and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go clean it off. These things are good." He's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go clean this lollipop off, even though it's got hair and dirt on it." Even though we know that he uses it for different reasons. That's funny.
Oh my god, I just looked up these pages. Holy shit.
What, the funeral pages? Yeah, it's sad.
Okay. Yeah, what else? What? That, oof.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's, what else? What else do you think about this?
I think, in terms of being which is essential, like what is easier to jump into would definitely be Grayson, because the first page it gives basically a little, like, a rundown in his life in 4 panels. He's from the circus. He was Robin. He was Nightwing. He was killed.
And they're real good looking.
Yes, they are. It's one of my favorite pages of this whole thing. Whereas the other story is pretty good. It has a lot of baggage to it. Like, you're probably thinking, you'd be like, wait, going from reading the modern one to jumping back to that. Sure, people know that Nightwing had a problem with Batman if you watched the animated series. So if you went and watched that and then read this, it would make a little sense. But you'd also be like, I wouldn't recommend this to a new reader, because they'd be like, wait, why is Nightwing not, like, fun? Why is he like, why is there part of, like, an angsty part of him?
Yeah, I was actually worried you weren't going to agree. I really think Grayson is the better story here, and one that people should read.
Oh, yeah, no.
Even if it's not his origin, like, it is such a good book from start to finish. And Tom King and Tim Seeley, real good at comics.
Real good at comics. We've only had a few bad comics that we've talked about. Eventually, we're going to have to talk about some really bad ones.
Identity Crisis?
Yep. We're going to have to talk about that.
It's a real fucking...
It's a lot.
Shit.
There's a lot to that. Oof.
Yeah, so
Woof.
100% read Grayson. It's on that DC Comics app, DC Universe.
But
is it the whole run's on there, right?
Yeah, I think so. Minus the Future's End.
Future's End, yeah.
Yeah.
Future's End was another event that was a huge mess, really hard. But yeah, this week I actually went out and asked some questions from some people I know who listen to us. Some come from the DC Comics Reddit. Some come from the DC Comics Discord, which is a great Discord. And some come from Twitter. Lots of different places. But yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to answer some questions, see how that goes. If you have questions, please shoot them to us. First up, if you could choose a writer, creative team to do a series with Dick as Batman, who would you pick? Could be out of the roster of creators at DC ATM at the moment, across the board, in the past. Jake, who did you pick?
I didn't fully read that question. I didn't realize it was as Batman. But as a Dick Grayson series, I would like to see Matt Fraction and David... is it Aha or Aya? I've heard it...
I think it's Aha.
Yeah, because I think it was Explain the X-Men that said Aya, which doesn't... Like, I know he's... Never mind. I think I've always said
And I said Tom Taylor and Stepan Stasic, who did the Aquaman run. And
he's very good.
Dude, he is the best artist out there, like right now, like one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think I think Janon's one of the best artists, especially the way he draws Batman. The way he draws the cowl, it's like hard, but it's something that the movies should use as their reference point.
Yeah, but I also did not read the Batman part. And if I ever wanted a creator to write a Dick-ass Batman series, I would choose Grant Morrison again.
Yep. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I love Grant Morrison. Fight me. Next question. In the vein of Batman needing Robin and Robin needing Batman, what do you think Nightwing would need out of a sidekick, and what would a sidekick need out of Nightwing? My answer was Damian Wayne.
And my answer is, yep, that sounds about right.
The next question. On a scale of Slenderman to Snorlax, how thick is the dick? This is the first and only dick joke we made on the episode. Just a heads up. We did really good until we got here. As I mentioned earlier, thick AF.
I just wrote, clearly not thick enough for Babs, seeing as she got him a glute master in a recent comic, because Babs is never happy.
What would be cooler, a Nightwing game or a Daredevil game? What's a Daredevil?
And for a serious answer from me, Nightwing, he does cool. He's more showy in the way he moves. He's definitely a better fighter. They both have very good character arcs, but Daredevil would be a hard game to make, because you got to think, how would they want to make it? Like, would they want it to be something like his sonar vision, where it's like it would
be a cool VR game.
It would be a cool VR game, but like you'd have to use sound, and you'd have to like, would it be like a black screen, and then if you hear somebody coming, you see the vibrations and like the red outlines?
I would only play it if it had Kingpin.
But it would be very, or would it be like your standard beat 'em up game? I don't think that would do the character justice. I think that'd be hard to do.
Next question.
But I think Knight was a more fun character.
Which of Dick's real jobs was the best to read? For me, I wrote CrossFit, because that's the industry I work in. Just because I don't know all his other jobs, and I just loved seeing that on pages like, oh, cool, you open a CrossFit gym.
And I say when he was a museum curator, because that's legit his best cover. Like, it doesn't show his talents as an acrobat. It doesn't show his fighting skills. It doesn't show detective work. Like, it does. Like, a lot of the other jobs, like, people have figured out who he is just from how good he was at his job and other things. Like, when he was a cop, he was found out by a detective. He needs like a barrier between what he does as a hero and what he does for a living, even though he doesn't need to work.
Yeah. Yes or no? Should the popped collar Nightwing make a comeback? I wrote, is Dick Grayson popped collar cool?
No, but I like the way that the Rebirth series retcons that suit, because in issue 39 it's written as just workout gear that he wears because he has to investigate something. He's not Nightwing yet, but he's not Robin anymore. He's trying to do the civilian thing in college, but he finds out something's going on, so he has to investigate. So he wears his workout gear and he just slaps a mask on. But technically, the popped collar Nightwing suit has made a comeback in the current Rick Grayson arc.
Yikes. All right, here's the big one. Dick Babs or Dick Fire?
Dan, we want to go first. Yours is the less complicated answer.
Dick Fire.
I don't necessarily like either of them as a pairing, but if I had to choose, I'd pick Dick Fire. But just that phrasing, that would fucking hurt. But yeah, I just want to see my boy happy. Like I think I've already said it on the podcast. My favorite issue is have I already said this on the podcast? That one of my favorite issues of the Rebirth series is issue 15, where it's him and a couple. Or did that get? Oh wait, no, that's not in the podcast already because that was in the one episode we didn't do.
So last question: if you could just erase one thing of Nightwing's continuity, what story would it be? Try to keep your answer PG. I'm just reading it. Yeah, no,
I wasn't actually going to read that word for word. I just wrote it down and I realized it wasn't a good thing to say. There was one problematic story, but I'm not going to mention it. Because more so I don't have as much of a problem with the story itself as per the way the writer handled it afterwards. But more recently, there was a story called The Bleeding Edge, and I think the ending was bad.
Okay.
Yeah. It kind of ends on like a flat note. It's just kind of, it's a cliffhanger. And I don't know if it'll ever be picked up.
Yeah, so, that's it. That's all. We actually got a shout out from one of my friends on their podcast this week, and their podcast is called J&J Connections, where they criticize movie and answers your questions. It's pretty good. They're new too, so it's easy to catch up. But I guess they can't find you anywhere. You don't do Twitter or anything.
Yeah, no, I just on occasion will post pictures of things I've baked or cooked on Instagram, and then not really much.
Yeah, you can find me at Dan the McMahon or at DC Super Sons. Our website should be done, and once the website's done, we'll have our Instagram and our Facebook.
But you can also contact us at our email, correct?
DCSupersons@gmail.com.
And that is something I know how I will use. So, if you have any questions for me,
we'll be there. All right. Until next week or 2 weeks.
Yep. Then we get to talk about what I want to talk about. Granted, we talked about what I wanted to talk about this week, but that time, considering my current obsession, we'll talk about it then.
All right. We will see you then.
Goodbye.
Bye.